Got it working?
You know the
That'll
phone
work.
screen?
Yeah.
Let's get this lesson started. Hey, version.
Can you pick up that little bit of pretzel and give it to me so I can throw it away?
And then this morning I squared advanced.
Delicious grants, how much we can make?
All right, I think we're
Ready?
about all set to get going.
Let's do this.
So put cell phones, computers, that, yes please, away. PSPs,
There you go. Okay, those droids, everything.
personal service.
John, you should remember those little handhelds.
PlayStation Portable.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
I never had one of those. I think I had the,
I read
I
about
had
it.
a Game Boy for sure. Yeah.
Was it Game Boy?
Had a Game Boy Advance.
It was, yeah.
I had a Game Boy Girl.
All right, so we're going to talk today about Chapter 4, Civil Liberties. Do a pretty cool exercise on Poli-Sci Lab that asks you to be a police officer, which I imagine some of you may aspire to be, maybe not. But asks you to kind of apply some of these civil liberties to real life situations regarding right of privacy, regarding freedom of religion, so on and so forth. So, in looking at civil liberties, what is the basis of civil liberties? Where do they come from? Do they just come down from the sky and they're granted to us natural laws of humankind, or where do we get these civil liberties from?
The Constitution?
What about the Constitution?
The Bill of Rights. The
Bill of
first
Rights.
thing.
Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights amended in 1791. So a lot of these amendments are derived from some of the issues that arose in the colonial era. So if you look at the Third Amendment, for instance, no quartering of soldiers in private homes. We don't really have a problem with that today. There was a problem with it, back in the late 18th century, but it's not a problem that we deal with today. So a lot of these amendments do have kind of a colonial flavor to them. So in looking at the First Amendment, perhaps the most important amendment, what are the five rights that are granted in the First Amendment?
Speech.
Okay, so speech being one,
Press.
press,
Bear arms.
not the first.
Oh, not the first.
Speech, press,
Is
religion
What's
being
the
another.
one? Is the first one the one you're allowed to gather?
is gathering the first one?
The right to
Petition.
petition government to address grievances as well. So, it says right to petition government to address grievances. And lastly, we said the right to assemble. So we have those five rights that are granted in the First Amendment that deal with civil liberties. So let's say we're looking at the amendment which prohibits illegal searches, illegal seizures. So let's say that's a police officer comes to your home, wants to, out of the blue, Sunday afternoon, wants to search your bedroom. Is that legal?
No.
They have to have
Where's
a
the
search
warrant?
warrant.
Okay. And so what amendment is that derived from?
Is privacy 4?
What's that? What'd you say?
Oh, I said it's privacy number 4.
The amendment? It's the Fourth Amendment.
Oh, it is?
Right.
Oh, Kim.
So the Fourth Amendment deals with unreasonable searches and seizures. Now, if the police had enough reason to believe that you were let's say selling marijuana out of your parents' home, then they would be able to do so. But with no evidence that the Fourth Amendment guarantees that there can be no unreasonable searches and seizures, which again is a product of the colonial era, where the British would often have really free reign to search, to seize, whatever they really wanted. They were often granted, blank search warrants, which allowed them to really infringe on the rights, the privacy of colonial citizens. So another amendment that's kind of derived from this colonial era being the Sixth Amendment. And what does that deal with, the Sixth Amendment?
Come on,
A
say
hint.
with the Constitution.
A hint being regarding to your rights in court, your rights in the courtroom.
Fair jury?
Which one's the one that you can incriminate yourself?
I think that's like.
Is that the fifth one? Pleading the fifth?
The Sixth
Right.
does fair and speedy trial ring a bell? Fair and speedy trial, the right to be prosecuted in the same district where you're convicted of a crime.
Yeah, okay.
Again, this is a product of the colonial era, the late 18th century, when you had colonists that were arrested for smuggling or some other attempt to get around the oppressive laws of the British government. And instead of trying them in Boston or trying them in Lexington or wherever it was, they would take them up to Nova Scotia, take them back to England, where the public opinion of smugglers was far different than in the northeast of Massachusetts, Connecticut. People in Boston at the time, in regards to smuggling, they said, yeah, this guy is really trying to stick to the government. He's radical. He's really trying to get by these oppressive laws. People back in England would say, this guy is a traitor. This guy is harming the economy by smuggling. So the Sixth Amendment deals with that right to be prosecuted in the district where the crime is committed, as well as a speedy and public trial. So again, many of these have arisen from the colonial era. So we're talking about the Fourth Amendment, the Sixth Amendments. If you look at the Fifth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment deals with civil rights, civil liberties. Anybody have any idea what that deals with? The Fifth Amendment?
Remain silent, or something like that?
The right to what?
Remain silent, or maybe you can or say and do kind of things?
No. Does eminent domain make sense? So what exactly does eminent domain refer to?
It's when the government can take your property to build some sort of whatever. Like if they wanted to take your house and to build another section of the highway through it, then they could. But they have to pay for your house that you're going to move into. Right.
If it's going to benefit the public good, then the government can take your home and compensate you for it, but it has to be for the public good. The problem arises with the Fifth Amendment in that how do we define what is good for the public and what is good for me may not necessarily be good for you. What is good for just tuning may not be good for me. So there's kind of a gray area between trying to understand what is good and what is good for the general public. So we've talked a bit about the First Amendment, the Fourth, the Fifth, and the Sixth, which all deal with civil liberties. We technically talks about the 14th Amendment as well, but that deals more with civil rights, so that's kind of more of a Chapter 5 term than anything else. So, like I mentioned, we're going to do that police simulation. So, I'm going to go ahead and hook that up. If you would stand by momentarily, and we'll get that going. this class always been all women?
No.
Or was there some stragglers that dropped out?
Sam's not here.
Yes,
Eric's
Sam.
not here.
And
Eric.
Eric's
We're the majority.
And that was it too, huh?
Yeah.
It's only
They're all like-
Alex, David, Sam, Eric, and Will. Those are the
There
only
are like five guys.
We had like
At 32.
we had two other guys before, but they dropped out.
We had more
Max.
than one.
Yeah, Max.
And
Liam.
Liam.
dropped out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he
moved.
moved to
Liam.
Pennsylvania.
dropped out.
Liam dropped
He's
out.
here again. He goes around too.
No, he goes to Glen Allen, but he's here for the text meeting.
But he's like, but he's still like, he takes up class in
Really?
school.
Really?
Who's in the help desk like during
Pull
like?
that down.
Huh.
You're not supposed to come over here.
I never liked Liam.
Amy's just texting me.
On that.
I remember working with Twitter. Oh, those good Earth projects were like.
Oh, ours, Courtney, ours was amazing.
Are you talking about the video? Hold on. Kim's video where she beat Liam in the head with a hoe. Alex and Danielle's video. Let's
Oh
know.
my god, that was great.
Great one. Dominique's video
Ugh.
was great. We made the bestest poster.
Our poster was adorable. Kim got all fancy, went to Kinko's and got a poster. She too good for that marker and crayon stuff. I know I was in there.
Her name, absolutely, that in college.
Really chunky.
I feel like I've worked last semester. Like,
How many people did we start out?
We started with like 40 something, right?
All right, so there's 10 cases here that look at various civil liberties and kind of ask you to make your own best judgment based on what the case is. So let's go ahead. Oh, thank you very much. So I'll read the first part and then call on someone to read the rest. So it says it's St. Patrick's Day. The local Irish American Association, a private fraternal organization, is holding its 20th annual St. Patrick's Day parade. This year, a group of gay Irish Americans asked to march in the parade. The IAA has refused to permit them to march. All right, so someone can pick up and read the last two paragraphs. Okay.
As the parade is starting, a group of gay Irish Americans begin to march in the parade, despite the opposition of the IAA. When the leaders of the IAA call the police, you are sent down to handle the situation. The leaders of the IAA insist that you arrest the gay marchers for disturbing the peace, claiming that the gay group is ruining their parade. The gay marchers claim that they have a free speech right to express themselves. Arrest them.
So you would say arrest the gay marchers.
No.
Show of hands, how many think we should arrest the gay marchers? Okay. Why?
I feel like it is the IAA's parade, and they're the ones funding it, and since it's their function, they have the right to say who and who isn't allowed to be in the parade.
Okay. So because it is their function, they have the right to say that these groups cannot be included. So who would say that they should let the gay marchers march? Yeah. Why?
Well, it's not like they claim that they're disturbing the peace, but really, they're not disturbing anything. They're marching, and the gay marchers do have a point when they say they're encroaching on their freedom of speech, because they have a right to express themselves, and the IAA, by not letting them march based on their sexual orientation, is encroaching upon that freedom.
Okay. Yeah. What else can we say about this case?
I mean, it's freedom of expression and stuff too, is that they have the right to social.
Okay. So we've got the majority saying that we should go ahead and let the gay marchers march. What is the correct answer?
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Say what?
Shut up, Kim!
Say what?
So the police chief tells you that the private organizations have a First Amendment right to freedom of association. As a result, purely private groups have a right to choose to associate with certain groups. And not associate with others. So in this regard, while it may seem wrong, it may seem
Messed up.
outdated, in this case, if you decided to arrest the gay marchers, then you might be losing your job, or at least be reprimanded for a few weeks. So let's look at another case, looking at
Could you move it a little to the left?
Like
a little to the left.
Mhm.
That way? Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So while on patrol, you receive a call to respond to a disturbance outside a video rental store. Upon arrival, you observed a small crowd has gathered outside the store, that there is a heated argument in progress between the proprietor and a number of individuals. You learn that the argument has been caused by a customer's objection to a predominantly displayed portrait of Ho Chi Minh behind the counter in the store. The store is owned, operated by a man who years earlier had come to the United States from Vietnam. The store's clientele is predominantly Vietnamese, as the revolutionary leader of North Vietnam through the conflict with France and later the United States. Ho Chi Minh, for many, symbolizes the loss of pain of millions of people. So the customers demand that you remove the portraits and arrest the owner for fighting words and hate speech.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, the Vietnamese want to sign them, or
The owner is.
This is in the United States, so it's
so the Vietnamese customers want to sign them?
The
Well,
guy
it's
who
not
owns
really
the store is
elaborated.
Vietnamese. The
Oh.
customer is probably
right.
like
It's not
American.
really elaborated whether it's Vietnamese
Okay.
citizens or whether it's who wants to. But this is in the United States.
It's a Vietnamese owned video shop.
Right. Right. So do we arrest the store owner for supporting that evil communism?
Ignore the customer's complaint.
You ignore their complaint.
You ignore.
That's just as dumb as.
So you think that
Yeah.
that's a instance of freedom of speech?
Yeah, that's
Who'd say?
If I want to go.
So a show of hands. Who argues that we should ignore the customer's complaints and let the man go on with his Ho Chi Minh statue?
People have the
Everyone.
right to support.
Let's see.
Woo!
Great work. You've made the right choice. First Amendment protects freedom of speech. Even that's with that speech, whether it be spoken or symbolic, the store owner was within his rights to display the portrait on his own private property. So that's an instance of the owner displaying his freedom of speech.
You can just click next and it'll go to the next one.
This quiz is telling me I should be a lawyer.
All right, thank you for that. Let's look at the drug suspect. So one night, you and a group of other police officers are sent to an apartment complex on the Lower East Side of New York. The occupant of this apartment is suspected of dealing heroin, and you have a warrant to search his apartment. As you approach the door of his apartment, you are afraid if you knocked that the suspect will flush the illegal drugs down the toilet before you're able to apprehend and get the drugs. So what do you do?
Knock.
Knock,
Knock.
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 Because it's infringing on, is it?
Right on privacy.
Yeah, right of privacy.
You can knock lightly and then.
Yeah, knock like very nice.
The knock lightly.
One
They'll bust
knuckle.
through the door and then start yelling at her. Yeah.
Kick the door
Care
down.
about the heroin and they won't flush it down the toilet.
They'll swallow it.
What will they do with it?
Supporting your local drug dealer.
So how many of you, by show of hands, would say that knock before entering? That you shouldn't just knock, bang the door down and go in there guns blazing.
What
1,
happens
2, 3, 4.
What happens if you get the wrong house and you just
Exactly.
Well, that's
State pays
one
for
problem that could arise. How many of you say that, the heck with that, bust the door down, go in there, get the drugs?
The violent kids are
You can
saying
take it
this.
away, right? And technically, probation officers don't have to knock, they can just bust through the door. Because that's like legal, because a probation officer has the right to do that if something bad happens.
Okay, so you're saying that it's just animal not.
Not a bad cop, questionable morality. It's not a-
All right, we're going in.
You got it wrong.
I'm the good cop. What am I?
See, Kim, me, you important. You don't know what
In looking at this case, it says that even if you do have, reason, if you do have a warrant, that you need to, need to knock, you need to let them know that you're coming in, make them aware of your presence, which may allow the man or woman time to flush their drugs down the toilets.
Not if they don't know what you're there for. If you're just stopping through the neighborhood, what they gotta be afraid
Stopping
of?
by to say hello.
Yeah, friendly neighborhood
And
cops.
the police go knock knock, telemarketers, and then they open the door.
Hi,
No.
we're Jehovah's Witnesses. We're like spreading the news.
That is
Terrible
illegal.
Yeah.
So if you chose that you should go ahead and knock, then you still have a job. You're still
You are not on
You guys are
desk
you're
fired.
still on the
duty.
beat.
You're not on
If
desk
you
duty.
chose to knock on the door, you may find yourself back at dispatch, like
Desk duty.
Rod Farba in Super Troopers, which I was watching last night. It's always a classic. People seen Super Troopers?
Yes.
Yeah.
No?
I watch Alaskan State
Great
Troopers.
movie. Great movie. All right, so we have the drug suspects. We have the polygamy.
Sister wives.
All right. Do I have a volunteer reader? Yeah, go ahead.
One day you receive an anonymous tip that a local man calling himself a minister is married to 3 different women in violation of New York's laws against polygamy. You investigate and discover that the allegation is true. You drive to the minister's house to place him under arrest. He argues that he practices polygamy because his religious beliefs tell him to do so. He argues that the free exercise clause of the Constitution protects his rights to have multiple wives.
We already have one.
Yes.
Okay.
Arrest them.
Arrest him.
Arrest
Arrest
him.
him.
We have something that says marriage is between one man and one woman.
I think Doma is fighting for that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about
Polygamy in general is
Polygamy.
true, isn't it? Because
Well-
if, like the Mormons and the Muslims, I don't think are you allowed to legally with under faith, I think you can, but under
Under the
can
law.
you?
Under
well,
the law,
that's
you
where it
can't.
gets kind of slippery, Is it a person's freedom to practice religion, or is it?
What if he's just a sketchy minister? We don't know him.
You don't
he's
know
sketchy.
if he's associated with a cult, so arrest him anyway.
Yeah, arrest him.
So arrest him.
Arrest him.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
Arrest him.
arrest him. That dude that has
Yeah,
that guy that got 6 wives got arrested.
You have to arrest him if he's like legally married to each one. If he's married to one, like legally married to one and has spiritual unions with the others, then you can't arrest him.
Yeah,
That's what you would.
that's okay. But this is not okay.
So we're arrest him.
Arrest him.
Good. We're doing it.
Lock him up. Lock him up, bro. Throw the keys away. Yes.
Great work. So, in looking at why, part of the reason is that people that expose certain religious views shouldn't be allowed to do things that other people cannot do. So, in terms of polygamy, the Supreme Court decided that polygamous marriages are not protected by the Constitution, even if they're results of religious beliefs. Yeah.
Even if they're not, even if the Constitution doesn't protect polygamy, are there states that allow polygamy?
Like there are states.
Like in Sister Wives, they had to move from Utah to Las Vegas because of threats of being arrested.
Yeah.
Are they legally
There's
by
no-
law He's married, only or are legally they? married to one. He has spiritual union.
Yeah.
He does? Okay.
So there's
I wouldn't share him. I'd be like, no. Well, one of this
no
marriage.
states have laws that legalize polygamy. All right, so let's move on. Still the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cross burner.
I'm a winner. Oh no! Arrest him.
All right, someone read the case of the cross burner. Yeah.
One evening, you receive a call of a disturbance in a downtown park. When you go to investigate, you find a burning cross and some racial epithets that are written in chalk on the ground. After a little bit of investigating, you discover two skinheads with Nazi tattoos on their arms. They admit responsibility for the cross burning, but they argue that they were merely expressing their constitutional right to free speech. Racists.
We don't say a God we trust.
Do racists not have free speech as well?
No,
They
burning
do, but
crosses.
they're like doing arsony and also. But
They have free
I don't
speech,
know.
but it's a hate crime.
Second one.
Second one, so you would say
Yeah. Arson law.
arrest them for violating the arson.
Yeah.
It's hard to prove a hate crime if if they're going to I don't know how to say it. They're just I don't know. I just want to choose the second one. It's harder to prove that it's a hate crime than an arson because you have proof that you burned a cross.
Okay,
But you don't
so
have proof that it's against someone else just using racial profiling.
Also-
we're saying that these individuals, these Nazis who are practice
We don't know if they're
have
Nazis.
rights, but
Nazi tattoos on their
they don't have the right to commit arson in a public place.
Mhm.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So arrest them for violating New York's arson law.
Yeah.
All right.
We've all got jobs.
We arrest them for arson. So that's you arrest them for arson rather than hate because, like you said, it's probably easier to convict them based on arson as opposed to hate,
Yeah, there's
which
more evidence.
right, more evidence to suggest that that's if there's a cross burning, of course it's arson. What they were saying and what they meant by burn that cross is kind of a little bit more ambiguous. It's kind of hard to define whether that was truly representative of hate speech.
What can you get for a hate crime?
What can you get in terms of sentencing?
Yeah. If it's proven.
Death? No, not death.
It depends on what, I mean, murder, talking about battery, I mean, if you're talking about killing people,
I
like.
don't know, there's very forms of it.
Right. So if it's murder, a hate murder, obviously it's going to be a higher sentence than if it's a hate beating or something like that.
Well, we didn't do anything yet.
We're already wrong.
Who press let them go? Who lets them go?
Who let them go?
Who's the very simple.
All right. College student. Maybe a very relevant topic. Am I going to read it? Yeah.
You and your partner have been assigned to look for evidence of illegal activity at a local community college. At one point, your partner radios you to meet her in one of the classrooms. When you arrive, you find your partner detaining a student and holding an unopened backpack. She explains that she was walking down the hallway randomly feeling student backpacks when she felt something that could have been a handgun.
Uh-oh.
She asks if you believe that there is enough probable cause to open and search the bag. The owner of the bag complains, arguing that you have no right to search him since he hasn't done anything wrong. A professor intervenes and suggests that you are probably violating the student's Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable search and seizure.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
You can't even yell people up.
That's on school campus.
She would say that students lose their right to unreasonable searches.
Miss Wilson can walk in here and look at my bag if she wants to, because I'm a student at her school. It's the same thing as a college.
I'm sure they have a school policy that says you don't get access.
Exactly, so you're
Okay.
violating a rule.
So what do we say?
Open the bag, open it up.
Have like a teacher.
Open the bag and search?
Yeah, just take it to the principal.
So leave it alone.
The administrator has less authority than the police. enforcement, doesn't he?
Does the administrator have more authority than the policeman in that situation, or the
In
court
that
of law?
situation, or, let's say court of law.
It says, you find your
Well, what do we think?
I'd say open it.
Open it.
I say leave it alone. Or take it to like the head of the school.
You don't have that
I'm thinking it
option.
seems like people want to open the bag, search it.
What's inside?
No, I told y'all don't do this.
I turned it back.
So while you found a handgun, which could be dangerous,
We
It's
say
a semi-automatic.
the judge threw the case out based on a court case bond
Wait,
versus.
a second. We found a handgun and heroin?
And you're
Hold on
case
now.
gets thrown out.
What kind of student is this?
Oh,
Oh, community
community
college.
college
When
student.
he's doing a heroin, I just want to shoot people too.
That's why you should have left the school the other day.
I
Okay, that's
can't
ridiculous.
take it to the dean, bro.
You say
So if you said that's
Who needs a promotion when you save lives?
that's right, that's right. If you said that go ahead and search the backpack, then you're really wrong. That's the
Which
judge.
was a
We're not
Wait,
wrong.
why
throws
can't
out the case.
Morally, we're right.
wrong. You're right.
Morals are good.
Some of the laws just don't make sense.
Perhaps you're right about that, but
The past times was a good cop, right now it's a bad cop. I save lives.
Good cop, bad
That's
I think I
how
want to be a
rationalize
senator when I
this
grow up so I can change some of these stupid laws.
all right.
cop.
Terrorist.
I bet you it's a Muslim.
Oh.
Say that.
All right.
Oh,
Someone volunteered to read.
I'll read this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
You are investigating an act of terrorism. Someone planted a small bomb in front of the U.S. Post Office building in your precinct. Thank you. All of the evidence so far points to a group of Peru from Peru that is upset at the United States policy of aiding the Peruvian government in its fight against a leftist guerrilla group in Peru. One day your boss handed you a folder with information that leads you to believe that some Peruvian students at the university might be involved. You don't have enough evidence to pick them up for questioning, but you want to take a look at their school files to see what classes they've been taking. You can probably eliminate them as suspects if you can tell them they haven't had a certain class. You go to the registrar's office at the university and request to see the student's file. Citing student privacy, the university registrar refuses. You insist that the records be handed over to you, or you will file an injunction against the school. The registrar continues to refuse your request.
What's an injunction?
They filed an injunction against the school.
What does that mean?
I'll allow for the school to hand over the records despite the laws that prohibit it, essentially.
It's just a legal action that prevents you to stop doing whatever it is you're doing.
Oh.
If someone's going on strike, you can't strike or stop striking. So stop resisting or refusing.
Now, what courses do we think would be suspicious for a
Wood
college
shock?
student?
Wood
Hey.
shock? Wood shock?
Wood shop?
My bomb making class.
Law making class?
Chemistry.
What's that?
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Chemistry, perhaps?
How many times have they had the Wikipedia bomb making page up on their computer?
That's the case.
Could you argue that if they're taking some political theory class and they're writing papers on
Right.
Karl Marx and
Yeah.
communism, that perhaps that would equate them as being a leftist
Crazy.
advocate of a leftist guerrilla group? Perhaps.
But then what if someone really isn't doing that and they just happen to be taking all those classes? You have to look at every person in every single class and taking those classes.
Well, then-
Peruvian.
And are you just gonna single out the Peruvian people?
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So,
It could
what do
be.
we do?
Could be a crazy Cuban.
Let's flip a coin.
Go ahead.
You have to follow orders though, so.
And yeah, let's follow the injunction.
So file the injunction against the school?
Can we vote on this
Yeah,
one?
but we're not questioning them, so we're not imposing on anything. So we're just, I don't know.
File an injunction, yeah.
No.
Looking.
Why not?
If I say, we don't have a warrant to go in there and look at there, they just said maybe you should go check it out, so it's violating the privacy, but otherwise, I don't know.
Okay, so,
We're just looking at their classes, we're not looking at their life story. We're just gonna go into their class, see if they
Right.
might be a suspect, and then from that point on, we'll see if we have to question them or have any right to question them. So let's file an injunction.
Yeah,
All right.
file the injunction.
agree? Great work.
Ha 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 ha.
That's a good call.
File an injunction against the school demanding the records of your students you identified be handed over. Cite the judge cites the Patriot Act, which we're likely very familiar with. It's a fairly recent piece of legislation. So, which the court or the school agrees that they will hand over the records of the students, what classes they're taking, so on and so forth, based upon the USA Patriot Act, which passed in 2001, right after the 9/11.
Maybe early 2002, I can't remember.
Yeah. So this is a product of primarily the 9/11-2001 terrorist bombs. So let's look at, doing pretty well. I'm impressed. The reluctant reporter. So, do I have a reader or volunteer?
Richie, you got such a beautiful voice.
Oh, what do y'all? I'm going to read the case of the reluctant reporter.
All week long, the New York Dispatch has run a series of articles regarding alleged corruption with the New York City Police Department. Specifically, an anonymous source has alleged that several police officers have accepted bribes. These stories have angered the public, and the mayor wants the corrupt police officers brought to trial. However, the allegations are based upon an anonymous source, and the Dispatch reporter refuses to reveal the source of her information. The chief of police succeeds in getting a judge to order the Dispatch reporter to reveal her sources, but she continues to refuse. The chief then orders you to arrest the Dispatch reporter for contempt of court. When you arrive at the Dispatch newsroom, the reporter argues that the First Amendment's guarantee of freedom of the press guarantees the confidentiality of her sources. She says that her arrest will violate her constitutional rights.
Okay.
Arrest her.
Arrest her.
That's the same argument Nixon gave with the papers that he was supposed to reveal.
Yeah, but the people that put the story in the paper didn't, that's where Watergate came from.
Did they reveal their sources?
We still don't know who Deep Throat is.
So we would say arrest her.
That's it.
Because
I
the
would say
judge,
let her go.
I think, the thing
What
is,
is
telling me to arrest
Deep
people
Throat
from
came
the
out.
dispatch,
He came out before
from the judge saying
No,
it's
he was
ordering
like,
arrest.
Deep Throat was the
Yeah,
guy
but
who was
then
telling
you
the
can
two
trust
press
that every
officers
time that somebody
what
puts
Watergate
up
was.
a racial story in the paper, that they need to let themselves be known, you know? You
So-
have to put her in
What if
danger.
something
It's
happens?
false
She might not want to
reason.
do it because something might happen to her.
Yeah,
But she
that-
goes to court about it because a lot of people do that all the time.
she's
about-
remaining anonymous for her
Yeah.
safety.
So we'd say let her go.
Yeah.
I would say arrest.
All right, we'll let her go. See what happens.
Let her
You
go.
are incorrect.
I think I'm right.
Oh.
I told you arrest her. I told you arrest her. She'll locked up.
The police chief informs you that the courts have generally not interpreted the Constitution to permit reporters to keep their sources confidential. That if you had arrested her, you could have obtained a conviction and perhaps forced her to reveal her sources. So,
After this happens, can you just go back and arrest her?
Maybe she's like
She's
skip
gonna
states
send another
now.
police
I
officer.
really want
Right.
this promotion,
You know which
guys.
one to do.
so you're arguing that perhaps we just go back and arrest her once we realize that we've been in the wrong.
Send different officers undercover this time.
You say something sly. Hey, I just forgot to arrest you the other day. You're like,
I'm not sure how well that would go over.
Simulation.
I forgot to arrest you the other day. All right, let's look at the case of the stoned Rastafarian.
Yes. Right. So what's your dad done this time?
All right, so someone read these brief paragraphs regarding the stoned Rastafarian in the park.
One day, you're walking Needham Park Avenue. As you pass a tall man, you notice the strong smell of marijuana. You stop him and ask to search him. He consents to the search and you find a small amount of marijuana in his pocket. You are about to arrest him for violating the New York's law against possession of marijuana, but he stops you. He says that he was born in Jamaica and is a member of the Rastafarian religion. He argues that his religious beliefs require him to smoke marijuana as a sacrament. He says that arresting him would violate his First Amendment right to free exercise of religion.
Yeah, he's got a right to practice his religion, right?
You really don't have to arrest him anyway, because it's not that much like marijuana.
But it's not.
But I mean, he has to arrest him because
Yeah,
it's
arrest him.
Yeah,
It's a
the
possession.
marijuana goes against the law.
Yeah, it's
Right.
the same thing
I
as
would
polygamy.
vote in Jamaica.
This person is free to practice their religion, but
Just
perhaps
not
they're not
illegally.
free to, do things in the name of religion that other people cannot do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of a very slippery slope. Anyone that's caught smoking marijuana anywhere can say, "Oh, I'm a Rastafarian."
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm a Rastafarian.
If that was the case,
Take a walk, huh?
everybody would say that.
What's that?
If that was the case, everybody that smokes weed would say that.
Right.
What if he had refused?
What
Is the cop smelling something enough like a reason for him to be able to arrest him from that point on?
No,
He said that he found it in his
Well, he said that the man
Like he actually searched it because.
noticed this strong smell of marijuana.
So if the guy was like, no, you can't search it. Wouldn't you just be like,
Then you would
alright,
just let
then
it
you just have to walk
No,
away?
I think if officers have like a liable reason, aren't they allowed to?
They have to have considerable cause if they,
Yeah.
if they, pull over a driver and they smell alcohol, or if they,
Yeah, it's like.
walk by someone and they smell of marijuana. Yeah, that's, probable cause. Yeah.
Also, if the marijuana was at his house, he wouldn't have been arrested, right?
If the
If
marijuana
he
was
wasn't,
at his
like-
house.
Like if he smelled the marijuana, couldn't find the marijuana, but like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. He didn't possess anything.
Right. I think in that case, you would have to obtain a warrant to
Yeah.
search the home.
Yes.
So that came up, if he had nothing on him, that he had smoked the marijuana at his home, and he was just going through for a lovely walk through the park, then,
Shouldn't have been carrying it around.
Shouldn't have been smoking in public, my friend.
so like you said, the police officer may use some discretion here.
Yeah,
That,
I mean, most of the time they do. I've like seen that before. A police officer just be like, "Well, just don't do it in public or something."
Right, but if we're a rookie police officer, we gotta go by the book. We don't have, we can't say, it's the joint, we gotta go by the book. It's the law, and, we gotta go by the book. So, we arrest him, right?
Yep. Jail.
Take him to jail.
Sorry. They need to hurry up and legalize.
So we arrest him,
Takes a lot. He's running.
and he made the right choice. That's, although he tends to say that, I'm a Rastafarian, my religion allows me to smoke marijuana. Based on a ruling in Oregon versus Smith, ruled that religious beliefs do not entitle people to evade laws that apply to everyone else. So the man is convicted, fined $500. It's a pretty substantial amount of money.
Weed probably costs more than that.
Yeah.
The Oregon case was about a group of people who were using peyote, hallucinogenic, and then Congress passed a law after that to basically say, it was called the, let me get it right, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which was in 1993, so it's fairly recent. Basically saying, like, if you want to practice your religion, the right to perform religious rituals unless the government can show that the law or regulation is narrowly tailored in the pursuit of a compelling interest. Well, then the court struck it down later, and but has since ruled in 2006 that a small religious sect can use a hallucinogenic tea in its rituals. So that's where we are.
Okay, so certain rules like with religions, but I know that like when it's like a Jehovah's Witness is like a suspect for a crime, and then they want you to be like swabbed or something, they can claim the Jehovah's Witness and they can't be swabbed, like for certain things.
Why can't Jehovah's Witnesses be
Sure
swabbed?
about that?
What is that? Because it's something like you have to get like without they can not consent to it, being like what is it? You know when you're like
Regarding a swab test,
yeah, they can like not consent to it, like until they like force it. You
It's
I mean,
something
they
like
don't
that.
have a warrant
They
to
don't like.
like.
That seems like that would apply to the freedom of religion or lack thereof.
But if they get a warrant to like swab you,
Then it has to, they have to.
Right, yeah. I think that the general idea here is that you
Anybody
cannot,
can say no.
you cannot use religion to evade a law that applies to everyone else. Essentially, the general idea we're talking about.
But I know like if you, okay, say for instance like they did rape someone and they had to be in incident, and then like you go down to the police station, they're like just to like let it blow over, let's just take a DNA swab, and they're like no, you get a warrant, then they take it. But even if they're like anybody can say no, but then they have to get a warrant for it,
Right.
right? Okay. That's okay.
Correct.
That
Got that
last
from
one?
SVU? All right, so we have one more. You got the anarchists.
Now I'm allowed this.
The last ones are the best ones.
So, one day you're walking a beat in Central Park with your partner. As you are walking, you encounter a man who is standing on a soapbox, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Old school.
He yells that the government of the United States is corrupt, that it should be overthrown by force. He argues that the communist revolution in Russia was a great success, and that we should try to repeat it here. Your partner becomes very concerned. The man is advocating the overthrow of the government. He asks you if you should indeed go ahead and arrest this man.
Is anyone listening to this guy? No.
Yeah.
Obviously, he hasn't read a history book in 40, 50 years. So.
On the street every day who are telling me their life story.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Like, I
don't
don't care.
Leave him alone. He might be on drugs. Leave him alone.
I mean, who says anybody's actually listening?
It's not. He's advocating, not threatening. So I would leave him alone.
Yeah. but-
He's standing on a soapbox, so he's probably poor. So he's no threat to
Perhaps.
anybody but himself.
So, what do we say? That he's simply practicing his freedom of speech, or that he's actually advocating the violent overthrow of the government?
Leave
Leave him alone. Let him be crazy by himself.
If you arrest him, you're gonna lose your promotion.
It's not illegal to like Congress.
Well, it was for a time. We'll talk about that. So, what do we do?
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Leave him alone.
Wait. Where is he standing in front of?
He's in Central Park.
I thought he was in front of the White House.
So we leave him alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Who cares? Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Side of the man is simply a disgruntled citizen
I
of the
told you,
United
missing his
States.
stuff.
That First Amendment protects the free speech of people to advocate the overthrow of government by force. But as long as they're speaking in the abstract sense,
Not like, I'm gonna do this.
right? Not that he is, saying, here's a bomb, or here is guns, and go and take over your local government office. He's simply saying, in the abstract, that doing these things, that's the United States is wrong. That's communism. That's anarchism is the pathway to a more just society. So I think we did pretty well. Anyone get them all?
I missed one.
I think
I
you
missed
missed
one.
one.
I
Oh, yeah.
missed one. But other than that,
Everyone else didn't get them all because they were the first one.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Are we gonna get the promotion?
No, because
No.
we're
Guys,
tired.
lawsuits. Come on, guys.
I think we get the-
You're a
I think we get
nighttime
the
security guard making $7
Where's
an
the
hour.
conclusion?
We suck.
promotion. Is there a conclusion?
Oh, it says it.
Says you get fired.
See, no, read the bottom. It says, unfortunately, you did not.
A nighttime security guard.
You're making $7. I make more than this guy.
That's below minimum wage. Are you kidding me?
I make more at Clemson.
12 years at the police academy, and that's what you're getting.
All right. So
I'm excited.
we still have a job, hopefully, with the.
I know I'm not going into the police force.
I should be a Supreme Court judge.
Perhaps should.
I
So,
did have the tendency to want to arrest everybody, though.
what's that?
I just wanted to arrest everybody.
When in doubt, arrest.
Yeah, arrest.
Was it satisfying?
Yeah.
When in doubt, arrest. We'll iron out the details
Later.
on.
Plant a little pot on them. every now
So,
and then.
in looking at these civil rights, we've kind of come to the conclusion that civil rights are perhaps not absolute. That in many regards, there's limits on your civil rights, so your right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion. You talked about you cannot break laws simply because of religious affiliation, like with the Rastafari in the park. That would set a bad precedent if a judge ruled that, well, he's a Rastafarian, he's practicing his religion by sitting on this park bench, getting high out of his mind. So I guess we need to go ahead and allow this. So it's not to say that everyone that's is caught with marijuana or smoking marijuana wouldn't do the same thing. So if you look at one of the scenarios talked about the man who had the statue of Ho Chi Minh in his store. Another talked about the disgruntled citizen who was advocating the overthrow of the United States. So these are dealing with radical political figures. So, and looking at the freedom of speech, there has been a number of ways to look at how we define freedom of speech. There's a court case back in 1919 that dealt with a socialist that was passing out leaflets to oppose the First World War. It was simply saying, this war is conducted by the rich and it's fought by the poor, and that we should oppose this war. So in the case of a socialist passing out leaflets to oppose a war, the First World War in this case, do we think that socialist has the right to do that, or is the socialist infringing on something by passing out these leaflets?
He's got the right to do it. It's just like the guy standing on the soapbox. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just handing out papers. So it's not like it's a real threat. He's just saying something.
Yeah, religious groups are allowed to pass out pamphlets about their religion, so
Well, in the case of this secretary of the Socialist Party in the United States, the judge ruled in a rather famous court case, Schenck versus the United States, that the government can limit free speech if it's indeed if there is clear and present danger. So the argument being that this man passing out these leaflets, these pamphlets, presents a clear and present danger to the United States.
But wouldn't the United States be kind of biased because if it's political, it could possibly be going against the government in some way, and then therefore they're not being like a fair judgment of it. They're just insulted,
Right. It becomes difficult to define what is dangerous. It's simply someone that has radical political thoughts dangerous.
Just because it's against the government doesn't make it dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it becomes rather convenient. Is it that there is actually a threat being presented here, or is it the government really doesn't like this threat? It's kind of annoyed by these dissenters. And if you look, for instance, at McCarthyism that you may have talked about at some point, McCarthyism of the 1950s. Sound familiar to anyone? McCarthyism?
Yeah.
What is the basis? What is the kind of general idea of McCarthyism?
Isn't that blaming everyone in the government for being a communist?
Well, not everyone, but
Everyone in the West.
Right, there's a list of people that were supposedly communist supporters, and that's, especially if you look at the 1950s, there was a general consensus that communists were a dangerous threat to government, regardless of whether they actually had communist affiliations or not. So the political climates at the time can have a lot to do with how civil liberties, civil rights are interpreted. If you're looking at the 1950s, for instance, 1950s were a relatively conservative era, decade. You have passing of some fairly conservative Supreme Court cases during the 1950s. If you look at a court case, Dennis versus the United States, it's upheld sentences for accused Communist Party leaders. So, in looking at this dynamic and looking at freedom of speech, we're saying that freedom of speech, freedom of religion, as well as the right to assemble, these are all relative, that they have certain bounds. They're not absolute rights. So let me pass out this sheet with the amendments on there. We talked about the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendments, the Fifth and the Sixth. Not a Oh, so what I want you to do now is there is a quiz. If you go on under your poli-sci lab accounts, there's a quiz you can pull up that looks at civil liberties. So you've got about 11 minutes, 10 minutes, should have plenty of time to complete the quiz. So log into your poli-sci lab account and pull up the quiz pertaining to chapter 4, which deals with civil liberties. It's a pretty brief quiz, it's only about 10 questions, I believe. Right, and it goes with the activity, the police officer activity.
Post-quiz stuff?
Yeah. So it's right next to the police officer activity in your My Poli-Sci Lab accounts. Everyone able to find the quiz? If not, you'll look along with you don't have your computer, look along with someone and
Make a buddy.
do it.
Are you guys having internet loading?
I am.
Yeah.
Just going slow or
No, it's not working at all.
backup plan?
Alright, it wasn't over.
Okay.
I gotta log back in. Yeah, I've got the.
I'll be like a roster.
It's not the PA system, it's the school.
What's that? Is everyone having trouble with internet connection, or is it just everyone's having problems?
Not good.
It says we have wait, try connecting it to wait.
She deserves to be a
Why you telling?
I'll do that for everybody.
It's still the same. All I wanted in my life was to be a citizen.
This is why I have
Because you're not
She was
evil.
done about her calling herself not even
So totally evil.
Hey,
When I waterfall off my friends, I don't keep a little real tight. I'm not a big
Hey guys, while you all are fiddling with the internet, I wanted to mention, you know the one with the reporter where the reporter didn't want to turn over the sources and you all said, leave it alone, don't bother her, and you were unhappy when that wasn't the case. There's something called shield laws that most states have that protect reporters and shield them from having to divulge their sources because reporters, of course, say, well, nobody's going to ever share any information with us. If their name is going to be revealed, then maybe they could be, have some sort of consequence from sharing this information. And so there's no federal shield law, but most states do have state laws that protect reporters, and that was the whole situation with the reporter, God, now I'm escaping me, Judith, it'll come to me in a second. And she was, the Bush administration wanted the name of the CIA operative, and she wouldn't turn it over, and she said, no, I'm not gonna give it to you because I don't want that name revealed, and ultimately, it was revealed, and her name was Valerie McClain, she was outed, she lost her, spy status or whatever, and they made a movie about it, it was called Fair Game.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And you should all go watch it.
Fair game.
Fair Game is quite good. So that's the two issues. And now I'm not getting it's disturbing me that they still ask.
The internet is not working out.
And don't backstab saying is that
What's that?
I asked to give the DNA sample, they can refuse, but then if they're compelled to, they must. Right, so they can say, no.
You got it? Oh, yeah, it works.
The internet's back
Yeah.
back running.
Well, you just made me
I'm never special. Oh, it is working.
Working?
Yeah.
Connecting? Good, good.
I got it.
It's not working?
Got it.
Good?
Are we ever gonna plan on taking down these streamers? They look sort of pitiful.
What, from the
You just
banquet?
wait till May 16th.
Just wait till the world
They
looks
look kind of
better.
pitiful.
Yeah, look at this one. It's all ripped and totally. They've been up here since like the international dinner, which is like October.
Alright, let's do it. Wait, I don't think that's it.
Everybody find a quiz.
Oh, wait. No, the code, like the thing, like.
I got it.
Go.
It's just possible, right?
No. Go to the internet.
Here, Sandy, mine's working, you just take it.
Wait, no. Wait, slow down. Go up.
You are a police officer. Go to the bottom.
I got it.
At the tip, the black on the top.
No. Right there.
What is that? This is America.
Why?
Because Marissa can't deal with
What is up with America? Why is this doing
Hey.
This never used to happen to me. Because pollution on the air. Pollution kept it black.
What does a bridge?
Chapter 4.
Is this the
Abridged means to like shorten stuff.
Wait, shorten it?
Yeah, like an abridged version of a book. It means to like leave out stuff.
Police officer. Oh yeah, that's the one that we, yeah.
That's not my.
You left them? That's the thing so I can go down.